So I've determined that the only thing that I can do is smile and nod. There's a lot of things that I know as a business professor. I can tell you how to become rich. I can teach you how to build a company, all of these kind of things. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect in terms of understanding these things, but I can get you well on your way. And if you listen to some of the things that I say in terms of, building wealth, I can probably get you to the point where you are a decamillionaire, right? Like have tens of millions of dollars. But if I say those things, and I do say those things, you're not going to listen to me because you have it determined in your mind, in your head, that I am somehow not right. And you, that probably has a tenth of the education, a tenth of, studying these kind of things, of dedicated time, maybe even 100th, maybe even 1,000th of spending the time of thinking about these things and reading these things. And you probably have maybe read a newspaper article, you maybe talked to a friend, and I've probably read 5,000 articles and books about these kind of things. Spent the vast majority of my life at this point studying these kind of things. You have it determined in your mind that the thing that you have in your mind is right. There's nothing I could do about that. The only thing I can do is smile and nod and say, good on you, go get after it. It's interesting with this. And there's lots of people that are going to watch this video and they're going to be like, okay, I get it, but I don't get it, right? Like they're not going to sit and think about, wait a minute, did he just say I can get people to become a decamillionaire? And if you follow these kind of simple things, that you become a decamillionaire, like tens of millions of dollars by the time that you're dead, right? Like it's a lot of money, right? And you're going to argue with me and go through all of these kind of things. It's going to be surprising, but you're going to go on your merry old way, right? So I did a video on TikTok. I even posted it on here. And that if you were to, instead of buying a car for $30,000 at the age of 30, that you invested that money in an index fund for 60 years, this is not rocket science, you'd have $12 million. $12 million, even in 60 years, is going to put you at a point where you're going to be phenomenally rich. You're going to be considered ultra wealthy, even at that point in 60 years. People would walk up to you and say, how do you do that? How'd you do that? All that kind of stuff, like all of that nonsense, right? And yet you're determined to come up with every other excuse under the moon. And you're determined to think about all these other things of how I'm not right, or I have some level of prestige that makes me somehow like invalidates me, right? Like all of these kind of nonsense things, and you go on your very merry old way. So for me, from my perspective, right, as Professor Dave's perspective, the only thing I can do is smile and nod and say, good on you. And I'll continue to do the things that I've learned that actually do build wealth. And by the time that I'm old and gray and people are looking at me like you can't walk and you need diapers, probably going to have tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to my name. It seems crazy, but this is how it's done. And, it's interesting in terms of people's perspective with these kind of things, that they think that when you go to bed, many people perceive this is what happens. Either that you're born into wealth, the day you wake up, you're very wealthy, or when you go to bed one day, when you're 65 or whatever years old, you have nothing, and then all of a sudden you're ultra wealthy. All of a sudden you've got tens of millions of dollars. Some miracle thing happens. But what you don't realize is that a lot of the stuff is a grind, and it is slow, it's tedious, and it just requires you to simply sit back and say, how do I do this? And I can tell you all of these kind of things and say, go do this, go do that, and nobody's ever going to listen to me. And so me, as a professor, it's frustrating as all get out. Like, absolutely asininely frustrating. But the only thing I can do is smile and nod. That's it. I got to say, good on you. That's a great idea. And just smile and nod. All right. That's all I have to say. You can imagine, it's entirely frustrating, as there is some ways to do these things. And there is a lot of ways that we know actually improve your potential. And yet nobody's going to listen to it. In fact, here's the interesting thing. There is an entire field of economics. There's an entire field there's thousands of people studying this. Why is it so hard for us to think about this and actually follow the advice of people that have studied these things? Go look up behavioral economics. That's the vast majority of what's going on behind that field. Go look up a lot of the stuff about this in the social sciences. That's what we do. We look and we ponder and we say, damn it, these lessons are not that hard. And yet nobody wants to listen to us blowhards. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.